We've seen up to now that in order to be able to read or write values on our resources, all we need to do is, using PHP, just make them publicly readable or writable. So an example of what I mean is here I have my product class, so all the properties are private by default. However, we gave these public getters and setters, which means that they are exposed by our API in order for a client to be able to read them or write to them. If we go over to our user interface here and have a look at our product, so if I was to say get all products, so I'll try this out and we'll just hit go. Choose high definition for the best viewing experience, and if you'd like to join a growing group of software developers and take your skills to a new level, all you need to do is subscribe, click the little notification icon, and welcome. It means that we get back all the fields which are public, but that might not be the best solution for our needs. We might want to have public getters and setters because our application might need them to do the things that it wants to do, but we might not want to make them publicly available for a HTTP client to actually go and read and write. In this one, I'm going to show you how you can use the serialization process in order to decide which properties have read and write access. And the way it works is highlighted in this diagram here. So let's think about the read side of the process now. So you got a table in the database that gets converted into an object, in our case a doctrine entity, and then we have a normalizing process. And so normalizing means it's going to take that object and convert it into an array, and then after that it gets converted into the format of choice, and so in our case it's converting it to JSON LD. The reverse of that process is when you are creating a write, you're creating a new object, say for example creating a new product record. So we post JSON, that gets decoded into an array and then denormalized into an object, and it's at this stage, normalize and denormalize, where you can decide which fields from that array are going to go into that array in order to actually form your object or to form your JSON response. A demonstration will make this a lot clearer. So let's go over to our product, and in the API resource attribute at the top here, we're going to add something called a normalization context, and here you can create groups and then you just add your properties to those groups which you create. So say for example we just want to be able to read the name. What I'll do is I shall create a group, and I'm just going to call this read, and then what I do is I go to name, and here where I have my assert not blank attribute, I'm going to add another one underneath this, and this will be called groups, and then I just need to specify the group. So I'm going to create an array, and I'm just going to say read, and if I go back to our little user interface thing here, and I'm just going to retrieve the products, okay, and so this time, as you can see, the only property that we're getting back is the name. So here are my groups for normalization, and it's just this one group read, and I've only assigned one property to that read group, and so that will be the only property that is going to be normalized and the only property that we'll be able to read. So this isn't great at the moment. Let's add a few more to our read group. So just behind the scenes there, I've gone ahead and I've added one to NPN. We'd already done name. I've added it to description, and I've also added it to issue date. So if we go back and try this out again now, so I'm just going to get all products, click try it out, execute. And so as you can see, this time we're getting 4 fields which can be read. So how about write? Very similar to the normalization context. So I add a comma, I'm going to drop down here, and this time we're going to say denormalization context. Again, I'm going to create a groups array, and this time we're going to call it write, but just on that subject. I don't have to call these read and write. I could call them whatever I want. I could give these groups whatever name I want, but I'm just calling them this just so I know what each one is going to do. So now that I've done this, let's go and assign this to some of the properties, so which ones would be good. MPN, okay, we can add one there. Name, so I've added it to description. For the issue date, I'm going to leave that as read only, so I'm not going to allow anyone to be able to write that. And also manufacturer, I'm not going to allow this to be writable, but I'm going to make it readable. So just here we'll do the same thing. Okay, so first off, let me show you the post. So back over to our user interface, let's just refresh this and we should see which fields can be written. Okay, and so it's saying the fields which can be written are MPN, name and description. So you'll see that issue date and also manufacturer aren't there. On the subject of manufacturer, we made that readable. Let's go and get our products and I'll show you the format that the manufacturer comes back in if I execute this. And so as you can see, we get the manufacturer back as an IRI, which means that if I'd sent a request off for this product and then I got this information back, if I wanted to then go and look up the manufacturer, all I would need to do is access the manufacturer key here. That will give me the IRI, and then all I'd have to do is send a request off for that. But maybe you might not want to actually send off two requests. Maybe you'd like some information regarding the manufacturer to come back as part of your products request. What I'm going to do first is just change these group names to be a little bit more descriptive. So where I have read, I'm just going to find all of these. I'm going to change it to product read. Okay, and then where I have write, you probably guess what I'm going to do here. I'm going to change this to product write. Okay, so let's just go and make sure that we haven't actually broken anything in the process there. So I'm just going to go and send off this request again. Okay, and we still get the same fields back, so nothing has broken there. So what we want to do is add some manufacturer related fields to our product request. So I can take this group name here, if I go over to my manufacturer, and we'll say that we want to get the name. And so what I do here is again using groups exactly the same as what we did in our product, and then I'm just going to paste that in there, product read. And if we go back over and actually try this again, I hit execute, and this time, as you can see, we're not just getting the IRI back from the manufacturer, we're actually getting an object. We have the ID, so we still have the IRI if we want to go and actually look at the manufacturer individually, but you'll see there that we have the name. So we added the name to the product read group, and so this is coming back when our products are read. That should provide a fairly decent overview of how this stuff works and also give you some extra control over your reads and writes. If you want to look more into this stuff or you need more granularity, then check out the stuff under serialization, and in particular the serialization group stuff. You can get into this in way more depth because you can do things like adding different normalization contexts groups to your operations, for example get, put, like is demonstrated here in the documentation. So be sure to check that stuff out. Let's move on. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like YouTube to show you more of my content, all you need to do is subscribe and click the notification icon. Each week I release a number of new recordings. If you'd like to be informed about my upcoming videos as well as receive exclusive content, discounts and early access to my new videos, you can join my mailing list by following the link underneath this video.